승원이와 농구 대결을 좋아하는 모이브.
모이브요? 농구 진짜 잘하죠. 근데 전 못 넘어요.
뭐래? 내 집에 수신 잘 쏴.
하늘이와 떡볶이를 먹으며 수다를 즐기는 카리나.
얘요? 얘 명구 진짜 잘 먹어요. 진짜 안 맵냐? 전혀.
민승이와 편의점 가는 걸 좋아하는 윤수도.
뉴스 다른 점이요? 뭐 있냐?
글쎄?
우리에게 중요한 건 우리 모두 친구라는 사실. 우리는 모두 우리입니다. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 2 o'clock.
Welcome to BFM News at 2. I'm David Kim. Russian President Vladimir Putin received a warm reception in North Korea, arriving in Pyongyang just before 3 a.m. local time. Despite the late hour, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un greeted him with a hug on the red carpet. This visit marks Putin's first trip to Pyongyang since 2000, though the two leaders last met in September in far eastern Russia. The U.S. and Seoul have accused North Korea of supplying Russia with artillery and other equipment, likely in exchange for food and military aid. Both countries denied the existence of an arms deal but committed last year to strengthening military ties. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Putin has faced isolation from the West and has been seeking new allies. Following his visit to North Korea, Putin will travel to Vietnam to discuss trade and other issues with the longtime ally. The chief of South Korea's Financial Supervisory Service, FSS, emphasized the need for a fundamental change in the mindset of bank officials to prevent financial incidents like incomplete sales. Speaking at a meeting with the heads of 20 banks, Lee Bo-kyun highlighted the importance of altering the organizational culture, and promoting law-abiding attitudes and strong work ethics among employees. This call to action follows the FSS advice for banks to compensate customers for incomplete sales of equity-linked securities or ELS tied to Hong Kong's H-index. In local news, the longest route from Gimhae Airport connecting Busan to Bali is expected to commence operations as early as September. According to the airline industry today, Air Busan is preparing to launch the Busan-Bali route with a target start in early September. Previously, the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport allocated the transportation rights for local airports in Korea to Indonesia, distributing them to Air Busan, Busan-Bali Away, and T-Way Air Cheongju-Bali as a result of the Korea-Indonesia aviation talks. Air Busan, having secured the coveted Bali route, initially aimed to start flights by the end of July to align with the summer peak season. Gimhae City in Gyeongnam said today that it has embarked on a basic plan study to establish a Northeast Asia logistics platform, aspiring to become an international logistics hub city at the center of the Busan-Ulsan-Gyeongnam region. Following the government's inclusion of the Northeast Asia Logistics Platform in the 5th National Comprehensive Plan and the National Logistics Basic Plan, the city has initiated this basic plan study to align with these national strategies. The study will examine the implementation of facilities and project scale based on the results derived from the initial basic concept, as well as assess technical and economic feasibility. The seafood stall village at Haeundae Beach, which provided a romantic night sea experience to film festival stars and tourists, will disappear on the 24th. A Haeundae District Office said today that they have reached an agreement with the food stall merchants to voluntarily dismantle the stalls by the 24th. A public parking lot will be built on the site of the former food stall village, alleviating the severe traffic congestion on the beachfront road during the summer peak season. The food stall village was deemed illegal, leading to numerous complaints and prompting the district office to negotiate with the merchants for removal back in 2021. In international news, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, FTC, has referred a complaint against TikTok and its Chinese parent company ByteDance to the Justice Department, or DOJ, over potential violations of children's privacy. The FTC's investigation suggests that the companies might be violating the law. TikTok expressed disappointment with the FTC's decision, stating that they have been collaborating with the FTC for over a year to address concerns. This case is separate from recent U.S. legislation that could ban TikTok unless ByteDance sells the app, with a deadline likely in 2025. And now taking a quick look at the weather here. It's currently 30 degrees Celsius with the afternoon highs to peak around 34. And that'll have to do it for this hour's news. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to BEFM Busan 영어방송.
Your best choice. BEFM Busan 영어방송.
Coming up next is 2 p.m. Reboot with Casey McKeever. BEFM Busan 영어방송.
Age is just a number. It's not a big deal. You're only as old as you feel. But then again, act your age. You're too old to do that, dress like that, act like that, or even listen to that. Don't we get mixed signals about age? Does it matter how old we are or not? Ideas about what's appropriate for what age are always changing, but it seems even more so these days, and it seems like it's changing quickly. Today we're going to talk about some of the ways age seems to matter and some ways it doesn't. It's Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. This is the 2 p.m. Reboot with Casey McKeever. Let's get this thing started. Welcome back to the 2 p.m. Reboot. You just heard An Arrow in the Wall by Death Cab for Cutie. Death Cab for Cutie tries to dance through the dread in their signal An Arrow Through the Wall. According to frontman Ben Gibbard, this song is about all the warning signs all around us in the 21st century that society at large is in decay. Oh no. The arrow lodged in the wall might have missed this time, but it would be naive to assume the next one won't also. Okay, so yes, it's a cautionary tale. But it's also kind of like a club anthem, right? It's driven by a pulsating beat, and despite the lyrics, it's ready for the dance floor. So that's actually some of my favorite music, really, actually, is when the subject matter is a little more serious or not so happy, but the music is kind of the opposite. I kind of enjoy that. Well, welcome to the 2 p.m. Reboot, everyone. You're listening to us here on BEFM 90.5 in Busan, 103.3 FM in Gijang, Jeongwan, and Noksan. In Seoul, we're on TBS EFM 101.3 FM, and in Gwangju, we're on GFN 98.7 FM. Thanks for joining wherever you're listening. I'm your host, Casey McKeever. Happy to be here again on this Wednesday. We've got a lot coming up on the show today. First, we've got in hour one, Hot Off the Press, and this is where we bring you two of the newest songs from the world of music and give you a little bit of background information about the song and the artist. Then we've got Jimmy coming in for All Around Busan, and Jimmy comes in every Wednesday to introduce us to one of the dongs in Busan's 16 districts. So I'm curious to see which one we talk about today. In hour number two, we've got the Daily List. And the Daily List, we usually bring you something that could be the top 10, the top 10 best, the top 10 worst. Today, I've got something related to age. So it's not exactly a top 10. These are the different ages in your life at which you peak at everything. So I thought that was kind of cool. So in other words, is there a top age? Why? Yeah, don't great things happen at every age? I hope so. I'm knocking on wood right now because I hope I've got good things left. And then we've got, after the Daily List, we have Inside Korea, and we do this every Wednesday and Thursday. We talk about some news stories, things that are happening here in South Korea. And today we're going to talk about things related to age. So one of them, I'll give you a hint, a little teaser. What do women want? Don't ask Mel Gibson. Instead, I'll tell you the answer. The top factor for women when looking for dates turns out to be age, according to a survey. So we'll talk about that. And then we're going to talk about how age is changing in the part-time job market. So the ages you might expect to be working part-time jobs is changing, and kind of quickly. And following Inside Korea, we'll get to Perfect Playlist. And this is where we have songs that fit a certain occasion. And this week our theme has been songs about moving to a new place. So we'll have two more of those for you. So if you just happen to be moving, we might have the perfect soundtrack for your move today. But right now, it's time for our question of the day, and you might be able to guess what my topic is or my theme. I'm talking a lot about age, right? What age would you like to be and why? 몇 살이 되고 싶고 그 이유는 무엇인가요? So yeah, I mean, it could be your current age. That's a perfectly acceptable answer. But I want to know why. What age do you want to be and why? Because, maybe the go-to answer is to say, I want to be younger. I want to be 18. I want to be 20-something. I mean, if you're that age already, do you want to be a child? Probably not. So maybe not younger is better. It depends on what your age is, right? And I think it might depend more on what you were doing in your life at that particular time that you look back and like, oh, I wish I could do that again. So for me, it would probably be 24 or 25. I can't remember when I first left the United States and didn't look back. So I had so much freedom at that time. Nothing was planned. Perhaps that didn't work out well, but, at that time I was kind of like, all right, I'm going to try something really new. And I kind of missed that feeling of freedom and not worrying about it, not being scared about it. So for me, I'm going to say 25. I'll say that's probably the age. Or was it 24? I'm going to say 24. I don't know. I can't. I'll have to go look it up. Like when did I leave the United States? But for me, 24 was like magical. Yeah, the world was wide open. So cool. I want to know what age you would like to be and why. If you like being the age you are right now, cool. That's a perfectly acceptable answer, but I want to know why. So you can send in your answers if you text us at 샵9050 or pound 9050. That'll cost 101. You can reach us for free on Kakao Talk if you just search BEFM or Busan영어방송 in Kakao. Add us and then you can send us messages. You can also download our smartphone app if you go to the App Store on your phone and just search BEFM or 부산영어방송 there. Download the app and you can log in and leave us some comments. And you can also listen to us anywhere you go if you've got the app. All right, with that, we'll be right back with Hot Off the Press after Give Me the Night by George Benson. Welcome back to the 2 p.m. Reboot. That was Give Me the Night by George Benson. And now it's time for Hot Off the Press. This is something we do every day, Monday through Friday. We bring you two of the newest, hottest tracks from all over the world of music. And there are so many songs to keep up with all the time, right? So we do our best to choose the best, most interesting songs for you to listen to and give you some information about them. First up today, we've got Me Before You by Kygo and Plested. The Norwegian DJ Kygo will release his upcoming self-titled album Kygo on Friday, June 21st. Well, this Friday. From the album, he released the fourth single already called Me Before You. Kygo explained how he made this song on social media. He says, "This is one of my favorite songs I've done in a really long time. I was at the studio in LA and I was scrolling on Insta and I saw this video from the singer-songwriter Plested. And I just loved that melody that he was singing. So I ended up just taking the audio from Insta and I sped it up quite a bit. And then I added some background ambience. I added some synth, and altogether, it sounded like this." Our second song for Hot Off the Press is Mi Amor by Sam Felt. Dutch DJ Sam Felt has teamed up with American singer-songwriter Jake. It's pronounced Jake, but it looks like JVKE. And Brazilian singer-songwriter Anitta to release a new song called Mi Amor. Sam Felt said of the song, "Mi Amor is more than just a song. It's a celebration of love, collaboration, and the evolution of my musical journey over the past decade. It all began with a serendipitous connection on Insta with Jake, whose voice and talent immediately struck a chord with me. We exchanged ideas, and when he sent me the vocals for Mi Amor, I knew we had something extraordinary. The addition of the Sam Felt live band playing horns in the drop infused an organic and Latin-leaning vibe that harmonized perfectly with my signature summer sound." Well, so many connections being made on this Insta, huh? Well, these are our two songs for Hot Off the Press today. Me Before You by Kygo and Plested, and Mi Amor by Sam Felt. All right, welcome back, everybody. Now it's time for All Around Busan. And in this segment, Jimmy is going to introduce us to one of the dongs in Busan's 16 districts. Each week, he selects one dong and tells us all about the neighborhood. He gives us the history, he gives us the things to do, and perhaps my favorite, he tells us about the food in the neighborhood. Welcome back, Jimmy. Good to see you.
Hello, all around Busan listeners and Casey. I'm back here with another episode of All Around Busan. And today I'm taking you guys to Gaegeum-dong, which is in Busan Jingu district.
Okay, these two names are familiar to me. All right, so we're going to learn about Gaegeum-dong, which is in Busan Jingu. And I want to say this is kind of a central area of Busan. Would that be right?
Right, that's correct.
Okay, but there's a whole lot I don't know. And these are two names I see on the subway a lot. Gaegeum-yeok,
Yes,
and
Gaegeum-yeok.
Busan Jinyeok. And to be honest, I don't often get off at the subway there. So I know them. I see them all the time. But I don't know what we're going to learn about today. What are we going to learn about for Gaegeum-dong?
Yeah, you got that right. I mean, Gaegeum-dong is actually located in Busan Jingu district. I mean, at the heart of Busan. So just like what you said, Gaegeum-dong itself, it's not that far away from Seomyeon.
Ah, that's why I know it.
Yeah.
Okay, because if you're not familiar with Busan, Seomyeon is basically the heartbeat of a lot of Busan, right?
Yeah.
It's the young people hang out.
Right.
Right?
Come on, you're young too, Casey. What are you talking about?
I was young at one time. And I have lived here for a long time. And I would say I have been to Seomyeon many, many times. But Busan Jingu is I would say south of Seomyeon, right? If you're thinking about the subway line, it's a couple stops south. And it's just an area I don't know very much. So what are you going to tell us about Busan Jingu and specifically about Gaegeum-dong?
Oh, for sure. Just to give you guys a brief explanation about this neighborhood itself. It is actually a well-balanced area with both residential and commercial zones. It's providing a convenient living environment for local residents.
So it's a place to live, but it's also a place to buy things, place to shop.
Also at the same time, I mean that too, because it's very near to Seomyeon.
Right.
That's like the, shopping, the major, commercial district.
Right.
But also at the same time, when I ask all of my friends who are actually from or living in Gaegeum currently, they always say it's really, really convenient for them to just go to Gimhae International Airport.
All right.
Or at the same time, they could just easily go to Nampodong area.
Right. It's really central. Literally, it's central.
It is.
Right.
It
So
is.
you can get to anything you need to get to if you live in Gaegeum.
Yeah, because most
cool.
of these bus lines and subway stations kind of locates you to go to that specific spots that you want to go.
Right.
And it definitely makes it much easier to access to another part of Busan. So
Okay, so Gaegeum-dong, if you live there, you already know this. But if you don't, it's basically a really easy spot to get to anywhere you want to go in the city.
Right.
So transportation's really easy there. There's bus, there's subway, right? And what else is Gaegeum-dong known for?
yeah, Gaegeum-dong is also known for its rich history because I heard that neighborhood itself has been existed for 100 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Wow, that's a while.
And I also know that there are a lot of schools, including like universities near around that area itself.
Okay.
So yeah, many people actually lives there who actually lectures.
Right.
Or, who just teaches because
Right.
there are a lot of elementary schools to like high schools at the same time.
Right.
And yeah, that's what it's known for as like an educational neighborhood itself as well.
And I'm guessing, I'm from the United States. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Seoul, but currently living in Busan. And I grew up in Los Angeles.
Okay, so you know this too as well. I'm assuming California is similar to the Carolinas. I don't know much about California, but anytime there's like a university within a town or if it's like a college town,
Yeah.
that makes it kind of just a good place to hang out. Would you agree?
I agree.
Okay, so I'm guessing because all the educational opportunities, I don't know why, but if you're in a college town or a college part of town,
Yeah.
it's just a cool place to be. It
sure.
seems Sure, there's all the conveniences of a city, but just people in general seem to be a little more chill.
Yeah. Oh, you got that right for
Is
sure.
that right? In California,
Yeah.
well, California's pretty chill to begin
Yeah,
with, right?
yeah, for sure.
So I
And-
wonder about Gaegeumdong. Yeah, is it just kind of a cool place to hang out as well?
So, I mean, I would like to kind of go through these two major tour attractions with you.
Oh, sure, yeah.
One of the most famous tour attractions in Gaegeumdong is Gaegeum Cherry Blossom Culture Street.
And there you go. That's a great place to just kind of hang out and chill.
I know.
Right? When the cherry blossoms are out, it's a ton of people just walking around enjoying, right?
Yeah, especially during that cherry blossom period, which
Right.
is most likely on springtime.
Right.
Of course, most of people who actually visits here or lives in this, particular city itself, many people are familiar with Dalmaji Hill or
right.
Namcheondong Cherry Blossom Road.
Right.
But I really, really want to pinpoint out that this Gaegeum Cherry Blossom Culture Street, it's a place where you must not miss out on.
Okay, so in other words, like a lot of the attention that people give to Busan is like, all right, so Namcheon, oh yes, this past year, yeah, and actually every year I kind of live close to the Namcheon area,
Right.
and it always gets crazy busy. And you know what? That can kind of ruin your experience a little bit if you want to just kind of walk around without a ton of cars lined
know.
up. So yeah, it's good to know that there's another cool place to check out the cherry blossoms, perhaps without all the lines of cars blocking your way, and
Right.
you're kind of like, oh, car exhaust, I don't need that. So yeah, my neighborhood gets a little bit busy. So I'm going to check out next time the Gaegeum Cherry Blossom Culture Street.
Yeah.
And why should I do that? What's cool to do there?
Yeah, because number one, I mean, it's very convenient for you to just to go there using public transportation because you can just, when you get out from exit 2 of Gaegeum Station, you
Okay.
can just walk straight and turn left to reach to the cherry blossom path within just a 10-minute walk.
Oh, that's great.
So, I mean, everybody always suffer and struggle with driving those kind of major attractions because
Yeah.
especially on weekends,
Yes.
it's almost impossible for you to actually park.
Yeah, forget about parking, yes.
And number 2, just it takes like forever.
Yeah, because just the traffic, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that was a little while ago now. I guess we're well into June. But yeah, I do remember this year, I only went to the cherry blossom area near Gwangali, near Namcheon.
Right.
I only went there during the weekdays. I was weekends, forget about it.
Yeah.
It was just too crowded. And, I was like, oh, I really want to see it, but is it worth it if it's so overcrowded? So I'm going to keep this in mind for next year. Gaegeum Cherry Blossom Culture Street, I'm going to jump on the subway. I'm going to
right.
leave the car at home. So thanks for the good tip there, Jimmy. I tell you what, let's take a quick song break, and we'll come back and talk with Jimmy more about Gaegeumdong, which I have so much to learn about. I know it. I know the name, but there's not a lot that I know about it. So Jimmy's going to educate me. In the meantime, we're going to listen to Somebody Like You by the Magic Gang, and we'll be right back with Jimmy after that. Welcome back, everybody. You just listened to Somebody Like You by the Magic Gang, and we're talking about Gaegeumdong with Jimmy this week. And Jimmy, I have to know. So we talked about the Cherry Blossom Culture Street. I'm definitely checking that out next year. I've been to the one near my neighborhood too many times. I want to change a pace.
Something new, right?
Something new, right? And this is a big city. There's so many places you can see, right?
Yep.
And Gaegeumdong is the place we're talking about today. What are some other attractions we can see there?
I think this one, you're really gonna fall for it and you're gonna love this place because another famous spot that I would like to introduce you and the listeners is that Gaegeum Market.
Ah, okay. Markets are cool.
Yeah, this market is actually really popular as for local community.
Okay.
And offering a wide range of fresh ingredients like none other to like other traditional markets as well. But in this market, for example, particularly, it's really well known for 밀면 restaurant.
밀면. Okay, cool. So last week we were talking about, I want to say Bumendong.
Yeah.
And we were talking about 돼지국밥 and how a lot of people, when they think about Busan, they think about that. The other food that people think about when they think about Busan is probably 밀면, right?
Yep.
Okay, so this is a central place to go if you want to check out 밀면.
So
is that right?
since you love food, let me ask you a question. Do you just like a plain 밀면 or do you like bibim?
Okay, bibim I have to prepare myself for. It's spicy, right? And like the best restaurants, they don't make it just a little bit spicy. They like to put some fire in there. So bibim, what is it? Bibim 밀면?
bibim.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So bibim milmyeon, that's what my wife usually gets when we go.
Right.
And I'm like, I have to think about it. I'm like, am I ready for that today? So I usually get, the other option is 물.
Yeah,
물
물.
밀면. Yeah.
물 밀면.
That's usually what I get.
Oh, okay.
However,
Makes sense.
we do often share.
Really?
So I'll take a few bites, and then, when my face turns bright red and my nose starts running, then I'm like, okay, I'll bail out. Back to the 물 밀면. What about you? What do you usually get?
Well, I like both, but these days, I think you're gonna make fun of me on this one too, but Gen Zs or MZs usually go for 물비빔.
Combo?
Yeah.
You mix it?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
No, there's another menu that it's actually called the 물비빔 these days.
So this is a kind of like a newer idea.
Yeah. It
so,
actually comes out as a 비빔 밀면.
Yeah.
But they kind of pour you the 물 too. Yes, the soup
So
too.
is it the best of both worlds? Is that the idea?
Yeah. At
But-
the end of the day.
Why do you get that instead of just one or the other?
Because
Young people.
Yeah.
Speak for all young people right now.
For example,
What are you young people
for
doing?
비빔밀면, just like what you said, I am not really a huge fan of spicy food.
Oh, for real?
Itself.
Okay.
So like that, it kind of ease up if you kind of get that combo.
The 물 kind of mellows it out a little bit.
Right.
I gotcha.
So yeah, I kind of want to eat 물비빔 in time to time.
I'm going to try that next time. I did not know that was an option. Obviously, it's probably been a while since I've had 밀면. So yeah, and my wife will probably be like, wimp. She'll probably just stick with the bibim.
Right.
But now I have an option where I can feel a little bit more tough, but at the same time not burn my mouth off.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to check this
definitely
out.
go for it.
Yeah, and 물 밀면. Why is that so hard to say? 물 밀면 is definitely something I enjoy a lot, but I do want to try this new variety. 물 비빔 냉면.
Right.
Cool. All right, I'm going to check that out. So thank you for the advice there.
Yep.
Okay, so we're talking about food. Gaegeum Market is a great place where you can try some local street food and some local varieties of street food. What else is there in Gaegeumdong we should check out?
Yeah, I would just like to briefly go through my past experiences.
Sure.
I actually went to this Gaegeumdong Cherry Blossom Street instead of going to either Darmaji Hill or Namcheon because we already talked about it.
Right.
I already knew and had an idea that it's going to be fully packed. So this time, early in the morning, I actually went there. This experience was actually last year.
Oh, okay.
So I went to this Cherry Blossom Culture Street. And under the spring sunlight, the fully bloomed cherry blossoms were just truly beautiful.
I bet.
And we both talked about that. Both of us are actually interested in, taking photos and photography. So I was less bothered.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So in other words, this is like enjoy it while it's still a little bit secret, right?
Yeah.
Right. And we're telling people. Should we not be telling people this? Are we going to ruin it? Oh no.
We got to share it. So
we
go.
have to share. Well, just go and be the first to go, right? So you went
Right.
early in the morning for that reason?
That's why.
Yeah.
That's one of the main reason why. And then I kind of wanted to use my time precisely. So after
Are you good at
this-
that?
Well, I'm trying. I
Okay.
try to follow my routine.
I gotcha.
So, of course, I'm not like an AI robot. I don't go like, alarms kick,
Right, time to go.
Time to go. No, I don't. I'm not like that, but I
Right.
try to be. So I actually went there early in the morning, and then the places that we already talked about, it's not that far from each other.
Oh, the market?
Yeah. The
Oh, so
Daegu
the market's right by- okay.
Yeah, because it all happens when you actually, get off from Daegu Station. So location-wise, it's not that far. It's all pretty much walking distance.
Yeah, and I wonder, is it like very hilly? Because a lot of times these areas are. Is
Yeah,
it
kind of.
Oh, is it? Oh, so be ready for it.
Yeah, let me give you the heads up. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's-
get your walking shoes on.
right.
Okay.
So I checked out this Cherry Blossom Street early
Yeah.
in the morning, taking some photos, and I just wanted to enjoy the vibe. And after that, I walked down to Daegu Market.
Right.
And of course, not just milmyeon, but I also tried out on some of those street foods like tteokbokki and omuk.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Busan Classics.
Yeah, Busan classics.
Cool.
Oh, that's a good, yeah.
So you said you lived in Seoul before, right? Or you were born
Yeah.
in Seoul?
Yeah, I was born in Seoul, and then I was raised in Los Angeles, and then
Okay.
I came back to Busan.
Okay. Have you experienced tteokbokki in Seoul and LA?
Yeah, of course I have.
Okay. Is it true? People tell me this, and I don't know if it's true because I've lived here for so long and I haven't had tteokbokki in other places. Is it true that Busan is like particularly spicy with tteokbokki?
Yeah.
It's noticeable?
Yeah, it's noticeable.
Okay, because sometimes, like the bibim milmyeon,
Yeah.
I have to kind of prepare my mouth. Like my wife loves tteokbokki, so
Yeah.
sometimes she'll bring it home,
Right.
and I just have to be like, okay, here we go.
But one thing that I love about the tteokbokki here in
Yeah.
Busan, probably Busan is like the only place where they serve multteok.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
That is my favorite. It's the duck on a stick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen that in Seoul. I've never seen that in LA or elsewhere.
And it's in like a broth, right?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily spicy. It's kind
Not
of
at
like I don't know, would that be milchi based broth? I don't know what it is, but it's
Right.
kind of like a salty broth.
Yeah.
Man, that is my favorite. What is that
See?
called again?
multteok.
Multak. Such a simple name. Water and duck. Oh, multak.
Yeah.
I will remember that. That's something. Actually, a lot of times when I travel outside of Busan and then come back like late at night.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the train station or if I'm in a bus station area and I see it, I'll always buy it.
I know. Here's
Straight
the
to
thing.
it.
So when I first came to Busan, I'm like, multteok? What is this? I
Right.
mean, there's it's
okay.
not marinated. Where's sauce?
Right.
I asked the server, and they're like, oh, they were like, huh?
Just eat
what
it.
are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you asking? Just eat it.
And I learned.
And you can, they will give you that little japshi of 간장 and what do you call that? 뭐 양파,
Yeah.
양파 아니요, 대파.
Yeah,
right. So
대파.
if you want that, you can, but I'll just
Sure.
eat it straight.
Right,
I will
right.
just eat that straight off the stick, and it's great when it's hot.
Yeah.
Right?
That tastes good.
Yeah, and especially like wintertime. Man, multak, that's one of my favorites.
Right.
So that's something else you can get at Daegu Market. Not just milmyeon in all of its varieties and new trends, but yeah, you can get the classics like tteokbokki. You can get multak, omuk. Are you a fan of omuk?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, and that's another like Busan specialty, right?
For sure.
Cool.
So yeah, for those of you who don't really know what milmyeon is, it's actually made from the wheat flour noodles
that's
and
meal.
cold broth made from beef or chicken. And
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, topped with cucumber and pear and boiled eggs. So yeah,
What do
please
you
check
What do
it
you
out.
feel? Cucumber or pear? Which do you prefer?
I like boiled eggs.
Oh, that's your favorite
Yeah,
topping?
yeah.
I like the boiled eggs too. I noticed some shops seem to give you more cucumber. Some shops seem to give you more pear.
Yeah.
I think the pear for the milmyeon.
Oh yeah, I'll go for pear. for
I
sure.
never thought I would say that, but in my cold noodle soup, I like pear.
Yeah, I'll
That
go
sounds
for that.
weird to say out loud in English, but because I do like I enjoy cucumbers as well. A lot of people I know hate cucumbers. Are you a cucumber hater?
Well, I'm not a hater, but
Okay.
I don't really like to eat it like plain.
I will. See,
Oh, you
that's
will?
why. Yeah, I'm nuts like that. I will eat. I'll eat most vegetables like straight up raw. I don't know what's wrong with me,
Oh,
but
that's dope.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, pear, the Korean pear, I actually prefer it when it's in food.
Oh, okay.
Which is weird for me to say because I'm used to those like American pears, you know, the kind of like soft, mushy ones.
Right.
So in my mind, if you try to bite into a Korean pear, you're gonna lose a tooth. They're huge, right? Like they're huge and they're like really crispy and.
So you rather like to be chopped?
Chop it up, throw it in soup.
Yep.
In a cold noodle soup. It sounds insane when I'm saying this out loud. But yeah, mealmyeon, please give me that pear. I just think it's like a perfect combination. It's like slightly sweet, not overpoweringly sweet, like matches with the spiciness a little bit.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Busan. Ah, bellissimo. Cool. So mealmyeon, you mentioned that before. It's like made from wheat flour, right? Thus, that's why it's called mealmyeon.
It is.
Because meal is wheat. Compared to like naengmyeon is also in my mind because we're thinking about like cold soup. Naengmyeon is a different kind of noodle, not wheat flour, I'm assuming.
Right, for sure.
Gotcha. So mealmyeon is that specific noodle, a little more, not as like chewy as naengmyeon, a little more smooth, right?
It is.
I'm a mealmyeon fan, personally.
Yeah, same for me too.
Yeah, I like that. And the boiled egg, you're not kidding. That's good.
Yep.
Another thing I know is sometimes when you get like mealmyeon or naengmyeon, they'll have in a lot of restaurants, they'll have that like hot, what do they call that? Bone broth?
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, right.
Do it. It's sitting in a big container many times. You have to get it yourself. Do it. It's like the best thing like after you eat mealmyeon.
Yeah, 곰탕 based.
That's what it is. 곰탕.
곰탕.
맞습니다. That's great. So is there other food that we can experience in Gaegumdong as well?
Yeah, you might not be a fan of this dish because this is definitely spicy.
Uh-oh, yeah, this might knock me out. Okay, what do we
Right,
got?
this is aguchim.
Oh, that is spicy.
And there are so many people out there who's a huge fan of having aguchim in time to time.
Yep.
It's a spicy braised monkfish dish. Is known for its unique flavor.
Right.
And it's
And
really,
unique
really
texture.
popular. Yeah, unique texture.
Right? It's
Yeah,
like
it is.
It's a little. I'm not gonna say rubbery because that doesn't sound good.
Right.
But it's a little bit. Yeah, it's got some chewiness to it. It's got some bounce.
Right.
Like it's a little,
that's a good. Yeah,
Right?
that's a good way to kind of say it.
yeah. So you'll chew it a little bit and you'll be like, oh wow, that's a different texture for fish.
Yeah, but as you know, aguchim is particularly popular among those people who enjoy having spicy food.
Yeah, that's another one. I have to be ready. Like if we're like just deciding last minute and somebody's like akujim, I'm like, I don't know. I have to think about it. Like,
Right.
Because it packs a punch. It is definitely spicy.
But on the other hand, I mean, the ingredient wise, it's really, really healthy. It's a high quality ingredients with seasoning based. So it's really, really good for your health.
And I want to say like usually it's served with what do you call that? The 콩나물?
콩나물, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually served with that, which is like great for hangovers apparently.
Oh, for sure.
That's what they say. Like if you got a bad hangover for perhaps a bit too much soju the night before, that 콩나물 is really good for you, and it kind of helps get rid of those symptoms. So 콩나물, I recommend to
Yep.
everybody.
And for those of you who love spicy food, I mean, this is one of the dish that I highly recommend you guys to go and check it out when you
Yeah.
guys get a chance to go to Gaegumdong.
Cool. I will definitely check that out. My wife is a big fan of all
Really?
Any kind of spicy food that like she knows I can't handle. She's like, yes.
Oh.
Let's do this.
All
and
right.
so I think next time we're gonna have to go to Gaegumdong and check it out there.
Yay.
Cool. So Jimmy, there's so much we learned about Gaegumdong today. Do you think you could describe the neighborhood in one sentence?
Wow, this is tough because we are already talked about like so many things. But then
Yeah.
I think Gaegumdong, it's a charming neighborhood where you can enjoy beautiful cherry blossom path, traditional markets, and delicious milmyeon and aguchim. There you go.
Nice. And multok if you want it.
Oh, multok.
Multok, yeah. Any kind of street food you want. If you go to any market, it'll be there, right? Yeah, enjoy that. The Busan tree. I did not know until today multok is hard to find outside of Busan.
Yeah.
Cool. And thank you, Busan, for having it because it's like really, it's one of my favorites, especially like late night. It's just like a perfect thing. Thanks a lot, Jimmy. And of course, you're going to be back next week for All Around Busan, and we're going to learn about a different dong in the city, right? Not the neighborhood, in the city.
Definitely.
So great to have you here again. We'll see you next week.
Yep, thank you so much. See you guys next week.
All right, and that's going to do it for the first hour of the show. For our last song, we're going to listen to Jet Airliner by the Steve Miller Band. Enjoy, and we'll be back at 3.
BEFM 부산 영어방송.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Electric kickboards and electric bicycles are common on the streets these days. With the increased use of personal mobility devices, the number of accidents and deaths have reportedly increased significantly.
Personal Mobility Patrol Mode.
I don't need to wear a safety helmet because I'm only riding a short distance.
Wear a safety helmet. When you drive your personal mobility devices, you have to wear a safety helmet.
Hey, I rented an electric kickboard. Let's ride it together.
Okay, you drive in the front, I'll get in the back.
Follow the number of passengers. Only one person can ride an electric kickboard and electric wheel parallel car.
Follow the rules of personal mobility devices and drive safely. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
The time is now 3 o'clock.
2 p.m. Reboot. This is hour number 2. I'm your host, Casey McKeever. And right before this, you just heard the song Love Me Like You by the Magic Numbers. The Magic Numbers are an English pop rock band comprised of 2 brother and sister couplings. How did they get together? The quartet got media attention after playing to a sold-out show to a crowd of over 2,000 people at the Forum in Kentish Town, London, before their first proper single, Forever Lost, was even released. So they got attention pretty quickly. This song finds the band imploring an unseen someone to have an affair as their current lady friend don't love me like you. Uh-oh, looking for trouble. Released as their second single, Love Me Like You was the Magic Numbers' biggest hit, peaking at number 12 in the UK. So I hope you enjoyed that. You're, of course, listening to us here at the 2 p.m. Reboot on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Jeongwan, and Noksan areas. In Seoul, we're on TBS EFM 101.3 FM, and in Gwangju, we're on GFN 98.7 FM. Thanks for joining us. I'm happy to be your host as always, and we've still got a lot left in hour number 2 coming up for you. First, we've got the daily list, and today's daily list will be related to age as well. Instead of like a top 10 or 10 worst, because, age is such a variety of experiences for everybody, right? It's hard to say exactly what one age is for everyone. Or is it? So today's topic is the ages at which you peak at everything throughout life. And then we'll get to Inside Korea, where we talk about news and events that are happening in the country we live in. And, there's no coincidence. This is why I was thinking so much about age. These stories caught my eye. The first one is the top factor for women when looking for dates. And according to a survey, it's all about the age. And our second story is middle-aged workers surge in South Korea's part-time job market. So there's a big change going on in the working environment as well here. And then we'll get to our perfect playlist. Our theme this week has been songs about moving to a new place. So we'll have 2 more songs on that theme. But first, our question of the day. What age would you like to be and why? 몇 살이 되고 싶고 그 이유는 무엇인가요? And you might want to wait to see what the stories are, I guess, perhaps, before you choose your age. But don't wait for that. Pick what you want. I'm curious what age you would like to be and why. You can send us your answers at 샵9050 or pound 9050 for 101. And of course, you can message us for free on Kakao if you just search BEFM or 부산영어방송 and add us there. And if you go to your app store in your phone, you can download our smartphone app. If you just search BEFM or 부산영어방송, you can download the app and listen to us wherever you go. And you can leave us comments as well. Pretty good deal. So we're going to take a quick song break. This is Caroline by Patrick Droney, and then we'll be back with our daily list. All right, you just heard Caroline by Patrick Droney, and now it is time for today's daily list. Today's list, here are the ages you peak at everything throughout life. So before we hear some stories about what's going on with the aging situation here in Korea, this is a good time to remind ourselves that good things happen at all kinds of ages. So it's not like, is there really a best age? I'm sure we might individually feel like we had a certain highlight in our lives or an age we were just really enjoyed. But it's different for everybody, right? Well, or is it? So according to the information we've got here, there are certain ages where people seem to peak at different abilities and different events or different things in their life. And this comes from a wealth of scientific research based on a lot of surveys. So you might be thinking, hey, how scientifically accurate is that? But if the same numbers keep popping up, there might be a reason behind that, right? So here's what we've got, and starting in chronological age, we'll count up. So when you're 7 or 8, about 7 or 8, learning a second language is easiest. And okay, so there's some disagreement about this between linguists and psychologists, but it is commonly accepted that learning a second language is easier for most people when they're younger, generally before puberty. So there's a win for the young ones. But once you get a little bit older, your brain processing power peaks at the age of 18. And one of the key ways cognitive scientists test your brain's processing power is through what they call digit symbol coding tests. So they equate a certain number with a certain symbol, and then they give you a string of numbers and ask you to convert them to the correct symbols. On average, 18-year-olds fare best on the task, according to a study published in 2016. So this one's not based on a survey. This one's based on actual testing. So 18-year-olds, I'm a bit jealous. Your brain processing power is probably much better than mine. Enjoy that. But things still get better from there. Once you turn 22, you seem to have the ability to remember unfamiliar names. That's the peak. You know, you just meet somebody new and their name goes in the one ear and out the other. It turns out that's least likely to happen when you're 22 or so, according to a 2010 study. And I have this problem so bad, but I don't think I was ever really good at this. I think this is just a failure on my part, just of some skill I never learned. There are ways to learn people's names. I know, I've heard about it. Okay, here we go. 23. Women are most attractive to men at about 23. And men's attractiveness, however, to women seems to get better with age. So according to the co-founder of an online dating site who wrote a book called Dataclysm, he used data from his dating site to answer questions about love, dating, and relationships. And one of the book's analysis of the data found that men find women in their early 20s most attractive. Even as the men got older, their preference for 20-something women seemed to stay the same. Women on their 20s on the site, on the other hand, tended to like slightly older men, a year or two older than they were, and women in their 30s tended to like men a few years younger than them. All right, what am I learning from this? Attractiveness is all over the place, actually. They say 23, I say I don't think so. It sounds like, who knows? People are attracted to whatever, but it seems like men, for the most part, this website, this particular online dating site, the men on that site preferred women around the age of 23. Well, 23, you got something better. According to a survey of 23,000 people in Germany, they found that 23-year-olds were particularly satisfied with their lives, all things considered, quote unquote. So there you go. Maybe life satisfaction first peaks at 23. And I think, maybe that's why 24 came in, because I was thinking, things seemed pretty nice back then. However, strength peaks at age 25. This is when your muscles are at their strongest, although for the next 10 to 15 years, they stay almost about the same. And this is one of the traits that can most easily be improved thanks to resistance exercise. So if you really want to see how strong you can be, if you're 25 out there right now, get to it. Get to that resistance exercise. Get working. This is something I can't believe, but okay, the peak age to settle down is 26. The 37% rule of statistics says that age 26, you'll have met enough people to have some solid options without waiting so long that they start pairing off without you. According to one recent study, divorce rates are lowest for couples who married between the ages of 28 and 32. So there you go. If you're looking to get married, I guess the late 20s is what people tend to shoot for. There was no way I could have gotten married at 26 or even 32. In between, no way. That 6-year period, no thank you. So I got a feeling that maybe works for most people or a lot of people, but it certainly did not work for me. The average elite marathoner is age 28. So according to one 50-year analysis of marathons, the average age to complete a race in just over 2 hours was 28. So it looks like the 20s have got a lot of good things going for them. But 30 is not to be left behind. Bone mass actually peaks at about age 30. This is when your bones are at their strongest and densest. And you can keep calcium and vitamin D intake high to keep your bones healthier longer, but eventually they will start to weaken. So enjoy that, 30-year-olds. You got the strong bones, and I think I might be able to vouch for that. My bones have seemed to gotten much weaker. Yeah, like right around my 30s. I don't know what happened, but I think I can buy into this one for myself. If you're interested in chess players peak at about age 31. Scientists wanted to know whether physical and intellectual skills work differently as people got older, so they studied chess grandmasters. By taking the scores of 96 grandmasters over the course of their careers, the scientists were able to determine that on average, competitors do best at age 31. So I guess I might have missed the boat on that for chess, and I'm pretty terrible. So if anybody wants to play, let me know. I'll definitely I'll make you feel better about yourself. Age 32, you've got a good ability. You're the best at learning new faces. Apparently, people's ability to quickly and accurately recognize the faces of strangers being shown to them a second time in a lab peaked at about age 32. So this was according to a test that was done. So I guess that's good you can remember faces because you probably won't remember names well anymore, right? I certainly can't. But definitely faces, I think I'm pretty good at remembering people's faces, even though I'm quite a bit older than 32 now. But that's not the end of the world because when you're apparently at age 40 on average, this is when Nobel Prize winners make their big discovery. So this was according to a study by the U.S. National Bureau of Economic Research. If you don't think you're going to win a Nobel Prize, that's okay. The study's authors say that this concept still holds for other great achievements. People tend to do their most outstanding work in middle age. So you've gotten better at whatever you've been working on, hopefully, is the idea, right? And if you want to get better at something, hopefully you get better pay for it, right? Well, according to an analysis by PayScale, women's salaries peak at about age 39 and men's peak at about age 48. Well, okay, is that good news? I don't know. According to this analysis, women earn the most when they're at 39 at a median of $60,000. That's in part because women's salaries start growing more slowly at about 30. Men's salaries peak when they're about 48 or 49 years old at a median close to $95,000. So that's quite a difference there. We got to do something about that, I believe. But some good news. Your understanding of other people's emotions peaks in your 40s and 50s. So how do we know this? Well, some scientists gathered about 10,000 people, that's a pretty large number of people, and they showed them pictures that were cropped tightly around someone's eyes. They asked them to describe what emotion the person pictured was feeling. And they found there was a long plateau in people in their 40s and 50s when their ability to correctly identify the emotions based only on the eyes was strongest. So there you go. I guess all that experience interacting with people, looking people in the eyes and trying to figure out, what is this person feeling? I guess it pays off. Another skill that pays off from practice is math. And it peaks at 50 apparently. Okay, good. I thought my math skills were in decline. Maybe I should try to practice a little bit. And I know most of us learn our timetables, way back in elementary school. But it turns out when you're 50, you're probably the best at answering arithmetic questions on the fly. So quickly you can answer those questions and correctly. Good news, When you turn 69, life satisfaction apparently peaks again. So that previous study mentioned the age of 23, and apparently there's a bit of a dip in middle age. Okay, so that's normal? Good, okay. So I'm not off the charts here. Okay, good. So there's a dip in middle age, but then life satisfaction apparently peaks again at around 69 years old. All right, I'm looking forward to that. Another thing I'm looking forward to is my vocabulary peaking. Apparently it peaks in your late 60s or early 70s. This is according to people's scores on multiple choice vocabulary tests. And apparently the ability keeps climbing into the late 60s and early 70s. And you don't need to sit around reading the dictionary all day to make this happen. But apparently that's not a bad idea either. I think just reading in general, reading books, it's something we need to do. Yeah, actually, a physical book, I mean. Don't read that Insta. You might find a good collaboration to make on, social media, but if you want to build your vocabulary, you're probably not going to do it there. More good news that I'm looking forward to. Men and women feel best about their bodies after 70. According to a Gallup survey, 2/3 of Americans over 65 said they always like the way they look. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine. I have never thought that in my life. So I'm looking forward to around age 70 to finally look at myself and be like, okay, yes, I like me. Men's self-perception appears to peak in their early 80s when about 75% agree with the statement, you always feel good about your physical appearance. Women's rate of agreeing with that statement is a little below 70% when they hit about 74 years old. Yeah, why does it take so long for us to feel good about ourselves? I'm waiting. More good news as we get older? Well, according to some research by psychologists, people really do get wiser as they get older. It turns out people who were aged between 60 and 90 in a study did better than any other ages on almost every count considering conflict. So the psychologists asked people to read about a conflict and then asked questions about it. And people who were from 60 to 90 were able to do better, especially when it concerned seeing someone else's point of view, anticipating change, considering multiple possible turnouts, acknowledging uncertainty, and searching for compromise. So there you go. Wisdom. Wisdom is coming for me. I can feel it. And finally, psychological well-being peaks at about 82. This is from a study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. And scientists asked people to picture a 10-step ladder with the best possible life on the top rung and the worst possible life on the bottom rung. The oldest group they studied, which were from 82 to 85-year-olds, gave the highest average rung number, about 7. There you go. So, things to look forward to throughout life, right? In other words, there is no best age. There's good things all over the place. So that's a good reminder before we get into Inside Korea. But first, before we do that, we're going to listen to Age of Consent by New Order. This will be stuck in my head for the rest of the day, and I would love it. Enjoy. Welcome back. That was Age of Consent by New Order, and now that means it is time for Inside Korea here on the 2 p.m. Reboot. And this is where we're going to look at some stories of things that are happening here, where we live, and kind of understanding what's going on with age today. So I mentioned a little bit earlier that our first story today is that the top factor for women when looking for dates, according to a survey, is age. A local matchmaking agency said that women in South Korea may be most concerned about age when looking for a prospective romantic partner. So they conducted a survey of about 400 women in May and asked what they thought there were important factors when looking at the profiles of prospective romantic partners. About 59.2% of the respondents picked age, followed by the distance between the person and me at 57.8%. So age more important than how far away. Ooh, interesting. Height was a close third with 48.8%, followed by job at 26%, and hobbies and interests at 21%. So interesting. Age kind of, with the exception of distance, yeah, it's like nothing's really that close. When asked to choose which factors were not important, 42% of the respondents said educational background, while 32.1% picked the MBTI, or the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator personality test. Interesting, because I hear young people asking all the time about that. So is that for sure? Okay. I think it's fairly well known that the MBTI is pretty popular amongst young people here in South Korea. They did say, according to a market trend study conducted in 2022, 1,000 adults showed that 75.2% of the respondents trusted their MBTI results. But this survey hints that maybe women do not regard it as a critical factor when looking for a romantic partner. The survey also asked, in addition to one's profile, what other kind of information respondents want to know about a potential partner. About 70.3% answered the kind of relationship they are looking for, as in if the person's looking for a serious relationship or a casual relationship. So there you go. That's what apparently women here in Korea want. Our second story, middle-aged workers surge in South Korea's part-time job market. So this is something that was once dominated by people in their 20s. It's now seeing an increasing number of older workers, and the population of young people has decreased, obviously because of low birth rates, and young Koreans in their 20s often avoid difficult jobs. According to this article, I'm not saying that. They prefer positions like convenience store clerks. As a result, the gap is being filled by individuals in their 30s and older. So there's a term itebek, which means 20s who are mostly unemployed. And that term emerged about 2 decades ago and reflected young people looking and struggling to find regular employment. And that's led many of them to rely on part-time work even into their 30s and 40s. How do we know that there's a big shift? Well, the big deal is that there was a 40-year-old model who recently appeared in a job app advertisement for the first time, highlighting the changing demographics in the part-time job market. So a lot of part-time job apps show most job postings from restaurants and cafes, as well as roles in parking management, call centers, plumbing, driving services. And according to data from a part-time job search website, the number of part-time job applications from those in their 30s and older has increased 2 to 4 times compared to pre-pandemic levels in 2019. Applications from those in their 50s have surged by 357%. Those in their 40s, 157.7%, and those in their 30s, 89.3%. In contrast, applications from those in their 20s only increased by 28.6%. So what's the reason for these changes, right? Well, it's a little bit complex, but one thing is that people are actually looking for second jobs. Because of economic downturns, for instance, they mentioned in the article a 30-year-old licensed real estate agent named Kim works part-time at an izakaya in Dongdaemun district in Seoul. He says because the real estate business has slowed down. So in other words, one reason is one job is not enough to make ends meet. A lot of times people from their 30s to 50s are considered the backbone of the national economy because they've got all the accumulated skills and expertise. but they're increasingly turning to part-time jobs just to make ends meet because of different employment challenges. So according to one staffer at an online website for job searches, part-time workers age 40 and above have significantly increased since 2022, coinciding with a tough economic period marked by rising interest rates. Many regular employees take on additional jobs, and housewives start side businesses to cope with financial pressures. So in other words, it's not like the part-time job isn't even the main job in a lot of cases. It might be that a person needs more than one job just to make enough money to get by. So it used to be that the 20s were the dominant group in the part-time job market, but they're shrinking. A lot of them are preferring less physically demanding jobs in convenience stores or cafes. According to Yu, who runs a kimchi jjigae restaurant in Gwanak district in Seoul, she works with a part-time server in her 50s. Yu said no one in their 20s applies due to the perception that restaurant work is tough. So there you go. People are kind of deciding what they want to accept at a certain age, and then at another age, they're kind of saying, well, you know what? I have to take whatever job I can get just to, make enough money to get by. I think it'll be really interesting to see how this changes in the near future. Will this trend continue, or will ages kind of fluctuate again? It's kind of hard to say. I mean, it sounds like in this article, a lot of it depends on, interest rates, what they're set at, but also economic slowdowns. If the economy kind of turns around, or, not just within Korea, but internationally speaking as well. Are we going to see this as a kind of trend that continues no matter if the economy recovers or not? Are people just going to kind of get used to taking on a second job? Yeah, I kind of wonder. I've definitely been part of that lifestyle myself for a long, long time. And maybe this is the modern age we live in. Well, that's going to do it for Inside Korea today. So speaking of the modern age, let's take a quick song break. This is The Modern Age by The Strokes. Enjoy. And we'll be back with the perfect playlist. Welcome back to the 2 p.m. Reboot. And that was The Modern Age by The Strokes. I'm not going to lie, one of my favorite songs of theirs off of, I think, their best album. But now it is time for the perfect playlist. And this is something we do every day, Monday through Friday. Do you need the perfect song for the correct situation? Well, we try to help you out a bit. And this week we've been having songs about moving to a new place. So we're going to continue with that theme. And our first song is Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner. This is probably almost as well known as Free Bird, right? Is this one that people shout out at a concert for people to play? I'm not sure. But Sweet Home Alabama is definitely a classic rock anthem. It was released back in 1974 by this American rock band known as Lynyrd Skynyrd, with interesting spelling. The song stands as an iconic track in the genre of Southern rock, which perhaps they've maybe helped invent. And this song showcases their affection for the state of Alabama. It has a very memorable guitar riff and a very memorable chorus. I think it was used in like Legally Blonde or something, wasn't it? It was something, I can't remember. It was like some movie I didn't expect. And it quickly became a popular song and one of the band's biggest, longest hits. The lyrics of Sweet Home Alabama are often believed to be a response to Neil Young's critiques of the South in his songs Southern Man and Alabama. I have read otherwise, that they were actually mutually admiring artists and that there was more made out of that than there really was. But who knows? Our second song for today on the perfect playlist is The Long and Winding Road by the Beatles. This is from their 1970 album Let It Be. And this song is kind of emblematic of the band's intricate dynamics and also Paul McCartney's, I think, well-known and profound sense of melody. This reflects McCartney's feelings of disillusionment with the band's internal struggles at the time. I think also kind of well-documented in reading, in books, and also speculation. But I think the recent release of that film, Let It Be, kind of made it look like there was much more made out of that than there really was, too. And remarkably, this song actually became the Beatles' last #1 hit in the United States in June 1970, and that marked an end to an actual decade dominated by the Beatles' music. So that's an interesting way to put an end to the Beatles on the top of the charts. So for our perfect playlist today, first up we've got Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd, followed by The Long and Winding Road by the Beatles.
One.
Welcome back to the 2 p.m. Reboot. That was The Long and Winding Road by the Beatles. And before that, you heard Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynyrd. And that will be it for today's perfect playlist. And that's nearly it for today's 2 p.m. Reboot. It's time to wrap up the show, and I hope you had some time to think about age today. And I hope, even though maybe you have an age you would like to be or a perfect age or ideal age in mind, you know, great things happen at any age, and every age probably, right? It is a long and winding road that we find ourselves on, right? So again, thank you so much for joining us today. I will be back tomorrow at 2:05 p.m. for another Reboot. I am your host, Casey McKeever. Thanks so much for listening. Have a good one. And our last song for today is going to be Street Life by Randy Crawford.